Greetings! So in today's video, I'm gonna be taking a look at Holbein's Granulating paints. They released a set of 24, the colors are super fun, and I'm very happy to be able to take a look at them. I also want to talk about how I was able to try these. For a bit of context, these are super hard to find for me here in Canada, but I found a small shop on Etsy that was selling a sort of trial palette of these colors. You get all 24 colors in a tiny palette, and you can try them out this way. Also, what was super interesting is that this little shop is local to me, very local. So I was really excited. For a bit more context, LimeArt Supplies also has many other paints available. The idea is to repackage expensive paints as much more affordable, smaller sets. I was chatting with the owner and artist behind the store, and they told me that this concept is something that is already popular in Asia, where many art students can't afford premium brands but still want to try them. First of all, that's very relatable, and also I really like this idea as it makes it much easier to try out a paint brand without having to invest a lot of money in buying new paints. Along with the Holbein Granulating paints, I'll be trying out LimeArt's classic Holbein set, which is a set of 24 colors from Holbein, 3 of their brushes, and this adorable cat brush rest. I generally always start by swatching paints. While I'm familiar with regular Holbein paints, this is the first time I'm seeing the Granulating paints in person. I also wanted to paint really big swatches to see the full effect of these paints, so I started with making these swatches in one of my swatch books. It's not the best paper, but I have a lot of space to make larger swatches. The colors are amazing. Even on this very basic paper, you can see just how beautiful these are. It's a balanced range of colors, including a really nice yellow. They managed to mix up a really interesting yellow that remains quite vibrant and strong and still has some very pretty texture. We also get reds, pinks, and oranges, which are often hues that are missing in granulating paint sets. However, the trade-off of having these nice, bright colors is that quite a few of these pigments are less light fast. I'll have a list on screen with the info so you can pause to check it out in details. One of the colors, Bork's Parrot Pink, has obviously a neon dye or pigment in it. I put the colors under my little UV light, and we can see that some are quite reactive. There seems to be 2 approaches to granulating paints. You can either have very light fast but less vibrant colors. Examples of that are Schminke's granulating paints and the ones you can find in the Rosa Gallery range. The other option is to have paints that are very vibrant but less light fast, and examples of that would be Holbein's, Kusakabe's, or Kuretake's. All of these will be granulating. The only factor that changes is the light fastness and the vibrancy. After doing my large swatches, I decided to do smaller ones of both sets in my sketchbook on the same page. I like to have a view of everything, and since it was quite packed, I decided to use a bit of vellum paper for the pigment information. I also did little swatch cards to go with the palettes. The classic Holbein set came with a swatch card, which I really appreciate, but for the other set, I had to measure one out and set it all up myself. I started doing these kinds of swatch cards for all of my palettes because it's really efficient for me, it really helps me. I have the tiny swatches on one side and teeny tiny info on the other side. At this point, I considered myself done with swatching. I inked a little drawing on the page opposite the swatches to paint with both sets combined. I was fully expecting both ranges of Holbein paint to work really well together, and they do. They are made from the same company and probably have the same basic formula. There's only the selection of pigments that changes. I felt like combining both sets really allowed me to get just about every color that I might want, and you can really easily start from a granulating color and add a bit of a regular color in it just to change the hue to something that is more fitting to your needs. The Holbein granulating paint set is really nice to test out the colors, and then you can see if you want to buy any tubes. My options for purchasing these paints are very limited, so I enjoy being able to try them out before committing to a full purchase. The classic 24 Holbein set is also very lovely. It's a bit easier to use because it's quarter pans, so there's a bit more space to work a brush in these pans, as opposed to the tiny set of granulating colors. I'm already a fan of Holbein paints, so I knew what I was getting in terms of performance from these paints. They are some of my favorite for illustration. They stay put when you put them on wet paper. They don't flow an excessive amount, so they are much easier to control and work in the context of an illustration. They dry super well in palettes, they don't crack, they don't fall off their pan, and at the same time they're also super easy to re-wet. So they are a very reliable brand of paints. I had a really fun time with the brushes too. They have a nice spring, they keep their point, and it's a really nice selection of sizes. The brush rest also works super well. I love that the cat's head and tail prevent brushes from rolling off, because the last thing you want is for a brush to roll off its rest and roll onto your painting and make a mess. So that's very practical. Overall, this was a really fun painting experience. I'm glad I was able to paint with Holbein's gorgeous granulating colors, and I'm definitely adding a full set of them to my list of supplies to get at some point. I loved using LimeArt Supplies' carefully curated palettes and selected supplies. It was a truly pleasant experience, and I'm very happy to support a small local business. I really like the idea of repackaging paints to make them more affordable, and I'm really grateful that they decided to offer these. Make sure to check out their shop. I'll have the link in the description. They have many palettes and supplies available, but also really cute stationery and cat-themed items. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I would love to read your thoughts on this particular range of granulating colors in the comments below. Let me know what you think, and see ya in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.